Go.
Okay, rolling, and action.
So Simos, how did you get started in real estate?
My real estate journey started at about 24 years old. I had already been a homeowner for a few years. And after really diving deep into what I wanted to do, I was in the real estate industry pretty heavily. I had 3 restaurants at the time. And after selling a few online, this is early 2000s, when the internet wasn't exactly what it was today, I found a really good opportunity in marketing restaurants online. I sold my own restaurants, and I sold quite a few restaurants for other sole proprietors quite quickly and quite profitably. So that's kind of how I got turned into practicing sales from a higher level, not just the entrepreneur's interaction with restaurants, but as selling something for a living. The commissions were quite large, meaning anywhere between 5 and 10% of the purchase price of a business. So it was quite lucrative, and that's what turned me into looking at real estate. So at that point, once I did that, I was looking at other ways to be able to sell more. And of course, some came with buildings, et cetera, and I couldn't practice selling buildings without a real estate license. So that's kind of how I got my real estate license, and that's how I ended up, of course, in commercial real estate, because all my contacts in my network were commercial contacts. So commercial buildings and businesses, and that's kind of how I got fired up.
How does your daily routine impact your success?
My daily routine is truly simple. I just work a lot. I always have. No, my daily routine is I'm a early riser. I'm typically up by 6 a.m. And I really start with kind of gathering my thoughts and having a coffee. I work out when and if I can. It's something that is on my list to improve on, to have better focus. When I do work out, I have a much better day. My schedule and having 2 young children doesn't really allow me to do my life the way I would optimally like to. But now being in a little quarantine is helping quite a bit. So I'm actually able to get my workout in every single day. And I do have a home gym, so I don't have to travel or do anything really. I just have to go downstairs and get my 45 minutes in. At that point, I truly get back to all my clients, to my colleagues, and start the day off. And every single day, there's not a day that we don't get something done to progress and further our agenda. So whether that's working for team objectives, or working for my objectives, or working for our clients' objectives, every single day, we just keep moving forward.
What was your journey to success like?
Journey to success is a long story. It's not you don't even know when success really comes after so long. So the journey to success, I wish it could be a simpler, nice story, like an overnight thing, that like one thing that we did, but it's just not the case. The success that we found on the road to becoming the #1 team in Canada all came from a culmination of 10 years, actually 12 years worth of efforts, a tremendous amount, like countless failures, countless experiments, countless tests, sleepless nights, and of course, the will to not stop or let our failures get to us. So every single time that we failed, we actually don't use the word failed. We use the word learned something new. It doesn't matter how much money it costs us to learn that lesson, because many of our lessons were extremely expensive. But there's no other way for you to actually test something other than do something. So you have to continuously do and execute. And as you find things that need adjustment or to be tweaked or to be changed altogether in a 180, it doesn't matter. You execute, you move fast, and if you see something not working, you just can't let your ego get in the way. You realize the mistakes that were made. You realize the things that didn't work, and you continue to improve and tweak and adjust to what the market is telling you to do. That's 100% our road to success.
What was a pivotal point in your career as a realtor?
A pivotal point would have been when myself and my partner decided to take on more responsibility from a leadership perspective. So we were always hardworking realtors, meaning we sold our real estate, we made our moves, and we finished the day. there was a point where we decided, along with our mentor at the time, which was our third partner, Simon, that we needed to do more from a perspective of becoming a bigger organization. If we wanted to scale, and that's our pivot, is when we decided to scale. When we decided to scale, we had to be leaders for our colleagues, meaning other realtors depended on us for leadership and for guidance. And at that point, we all had to improve our game. We all had to step it up and find ways to create value within our team in order to gain the confidence, trust, and of course, when somebody turns to you, they're looking for something that they can either do on their own or they don't have the confidence to do on their own. So at that point, when you're going to take on that kind of responsibility and take on the guidance, you are responsible for one's success or for many people's success. And in this case, we've gotten almost up to 30 agents. So you have 30 agents looking at you for guidance and leadership. That's not only a big pivot, you're taking on a massive responsibility and you have to deliver on that. So the biggest pivot that changed my life would have been taking on the leadership component of our team.
What are the most important factors to consider when trying to sell a home?
If you're talking residential real estate, the most important factor in selling a home is timing your goals. So basically, everybody has different goals. You can't just slap a house on the market for the sake of slapping a home on the market. If you're relocating and you have time constraints and you find yourself in a downturn of a market or an upturn of a market, that's just luck and timing of the market. But the fundamentals of selling a home is preparing properly, meaning getting the home ready to hit the biggest net of buyers possible. Preparing the home so it looks its actual best, meaning from the curb appeal to staging the interior to creating and of course depersonalizing it from your own taste and making a template and a palette that is easy for someone to visualize them being inside your home. So when a buyer who is looking to get into the neighborhood that you're in can easily visualize themselves inside the home. And of course, they need to have an understanding of the neighborhood. So having your broker prepare a neighborhood pamphlet, a brochure, something that talks about the schools in the neighborhood, about the services in the neighborhood, about its proximity to transit, employers, hospitals. Everybody moves for different reasons. So setting the stage with a marketing professional, because a realtor truly is a marketing professional, all they're doing is marketing your home, is somebody who has the right strategy will really encompass the entire offering, starting from the home and moving outward to the neighborhood to present buyers with truly what it is they're buying, which is a neighborhood, a home, a lifestyle, and ultimately something matching their goals and objectives.
What are the most important factors when considering trying to buy that home?
It's not moving in haste. So as a buyer, a lot of people get stressed out after a little while when they didn't find their perfect home on the first week of searching. They get stressed out, or sometimes they have time constraints following them and they need to get into a home. But what you need to do is, again, working with the right professional. A buyer's agent is not an easy feat. You have to look at, in many cases, a lot of homes, and you really have to have the psychology and understand the psychology of your buyer as an agent. So as a buyer yourself, you need to work with someone who understands you, somebody who took the time to understand what your goals and objectives are. Are you moving because of schools? Are you moving because of work? Are you moving because you're upgrading or downgrading? But what are the fundamental things that you need as a citizen, as somebody who lives in the city or outside the city? What is it exactly that you're looking for? And you need to find somebody who understands it, takes the time, and really starts looking into areas and homes that match exactly those things that you need. So not acting in haste is probably the number one. Being qualified and knowing your limits is number two. Not knowing your limits, you're going to walk into a neighborhood where potentially there could be a lot of interest by a lot of buyers, and you can get fleeced. Meaning if you're caught up in multiple offers and you let emotions get to you and, no, but I really need this home, you can end up paying $10, $20, $50, $100,000 more than you bargained for. If you haven't been to the bank, if you haven't consulted your financiers to know exactly what you can afford and going above that budget, what does that do to you? What does that do to your lifestyle? So having that preparedness, having that readiness is absolutely crucial as a buyer. You need to know these things and you need to really understand where you're going with it. So not acting in haste and being ready.
So on both sides of that same coin, you mentioned one consistent thing, and that was the professional that you're working with. So
For sure.
what do people need to look for when looking for a good realtor, real estate agent, broker?
Yeah, so I'll speak to our team, and I mean we go through a tremendous amount of training and work in order for us to feel that we're qualified, and in order for us to have the confidence to be that guy or that gal who's going to take out a client and deliver a world-class service experience. Is so excuse me. The absolute fundamentals that we deliver into our agents are to have a listening ear and to qualify their clients appropriately. Meaning the buyer is going to have an interview with one of my agents. My agent is going to ask a series of questions that are really going to hone in on what they're looking to do, when they're looking to do it, why they're looking to do it, where are they going with it. So when there's a complete understanding between the two, there's going to be a tremendous result. So what does a buyer look for in their agent? They should be somebody who's empathetic, sympathetic, has a tremendous listening skills to listen and understand your objectives, and is willing, of course, to put in the hard work to do it. Somebody who communicates back to you right away, somebody who is on top of the market, meaning they have their pulse on the market. They're consistently looking in the neighborhoods that you are looking in. They're not depending on artificial intelligence and email searches to just get some hits. Everybody can do that. The whole point is, are you looking into the neighborhoods? Are you knocking, in some cases, are you knocking on doors? I've had buyers that wanted to live on a specific street between this part and this part of the street. They wanted to be in the cul-de-sac. They wanted this, they wanted that. Well, if there was a home for sale 2 months ago, there may have been a lot of buyers looking in that neighborhood, which may have triggered a lot of people to consider selling when they saw what that sold for. So if your agent is willing to go knock on doors and say, hey, bud, this person got $2 million for their home or $1 million for their home. Have you thought of what your home is worth? And are you willing to relocate? I have a buyer who is willing to come in right now. And there's no pressure for you to list. It would be just a quick appointment in and out to see if, like, you're not upsetting their life. You're not turning them upside down. But if you don't think deals are made this way, then you got it all wrong. I mean, there's agents who work for their clients literally day and night. So those are the guys you got to find.
I'd like for you to tell us about one of the most valuable lessons you've ever learned in your career.
I have had tremendous amount of decisions made in haste, meaning I didn't do my due diligence properly. I have made decisions too fast. I have trusted too easily. Not everybody out there is out to help you and to do good. There are a lot of people who will lie and cheat and work their way into your life for the wrong reasons. And I have had many lessons taught this way. And I'm at a point in my career now where I can say with confidence that it's very, very difficult for me to get burnt at this point in my life, because once you get, there's a Greek saying, once you get burnt on with some hot milk, you start blowing on yogurt. So I've just had way too many lessons where I trusted people and I made decisions in haste, where I just do not do that anymore. So any opportunity that's ever presented to me at this point, I take it in. I make a point out of telling the other person the decision will not be made today, no matter what the opportunity is. If it's timely, if it's the best thing that I've ever heard in my life, doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. So no matter what the opportunity that's ever presented to me is, I take it back. I discuss it and I dissect it and I reverse engineer it. I front engineer it to see what the holes in it could be. I'm no longer anybody who knows me will tell you that I'm an internal optimist because I am. But what I do now is I take a model that I've been taught through various books, and I can share my modeling with anyone. But basically, I take it to failure. So I'll take the model, I'll take the idea, I'll take whatever it is, the opportunity that's presented, and I'll break it down. One way would be to success, one way would be down the middle, one way would be down to failure, one way would be if the principal got hit by a bus. So like you take every single scenario and every version of the opportunity and you break it down to its absolute worst case scenario. If the idea has legs to stand on without the principals actually doing everything, I'm at the point where I can make decisions not to take that opportunity. Of course, on my way up, there's a reason we failed so much is because we were very ambitious, we were very aggressive, and we had really not much to lose. At this point of my life, with 2 children in 7 and 5, and 30 people that look out for our leadership, we do have a lot more to lose. So we have become far more conservative than we ever were. But I do take my modeling very seriously, and I'm a very critical thinker, of course, with a huge influence of positivity and optimism.
What advice would you have for yourself just starting out, or any particular realtor just starting out?
It would be by far talk less, listen more. When you're 25 years old, you're full of piss and vinegar, and you think you can change the world, and it's just truly not the case. There's people out there that have been at it for a long time that are very experienced. You may have impactful ideas and things that can change the world, but if you don't implement those appropriately, and if you don't listen and respect what time can give and what experience can give, you're just going to crash and burn anyways. So it's very unlikely, even if you had the biggest, most world-changing idea in the world, if you're not going to listen to others and respect the hustle and respect what experience can deliver, it's never going to take off, and it just won't. Because you don't know how. You don't know how to make me, the 40-year-old Simos, the guy who has the capital now, to listen. Because you're going to say the wrong thing. Because you're going to speak out of turn. Because you're going to come across as ignorant. So at that time, the less talking you do, the more listening you do, you're going to have far more success by just respecting your environment, taking and sticking to your ideas. I'm not saying don't stick to your ideas. That's 100% what anyone should do. It's what I did. I never let anybody talk me off the ledge or off the fence. I kept moving forward. But I could have had tremendous opportunities if I just had more patience. Had more patience. I think that's what it comes down to. The reason you're not seeking expert advice, the reason you make decisions quickly is because you don't have the patience to slow down and really consider all the factors, bring it all together. My advice would be have 100% more patience, double your patience, double your listening, quiet the big motor mouth. 100%.
How is the coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19, currently impacting the real estate industry from your perspective?
Well, I mean, we're frozen at a standstill. I'm not myself, as the position that I hold and the amount of people that we speak to on a daily and weekly basis. I cannot possibly with any confidence tell any client to buy or sell right now. So the market has not seen a price impact yet, whether it's up or down, because it can go up or down. People think it can only go down in a emergency market, and that's just not true. And I'll get to that. So right now there's no confidence because we don't know. When you don't know what you're dealing with, if you give any advice, once again, you're speaking out of turn. And it's not something that I'm going to do with any of my clients. Basically, when you don't know the timeline of this virus, you don't know the timeline of our healthcare system's capacity. Over the next 30, 60 days, we're going to find all that out, and we're going to find out very quickly. A lot of people and the government's modeling that just came out said, prepare yourself for some very sad news because it's going to be ugly. When that becomes ugly, the psychology of a city, of a country, of a region becomes ugly, which is going to put people on the fence. So when you're talking strictly about an emotionless market, when people are not feeling well, things don't go well. So it's more important than ever, as far as I'm concerned, and my message to both the industry of real estate professionals and to real estate investors, and because end users at the end of the day will always have to sell when they have to sell, they're going to hold on when they can. So this message is far more geared to real estate professionals and investors, meaning you have to stay positive no matter what the environment is. You don't control it. Nobody controls the coronavirus. Nobody controls what the government decisions are that are going to impact all of us. You don't control it, but you can adapt to it. And if you have a mind that's moldable and you're expecting change and you're waiting patiently and looking for what's going to happen, you're prepared and you're going to be well in advance of everyone else to make decisions that are going to make you win, no matter what the circumstances are. If everybody drops 30%, be the first person to act. If the market goes up 30%, be the first one to act. So people say like, oh, how can it possibly go up? Well, if supply chains are severely impacted and there's no construction in the city of Toronto, I can tell you that the values of the properties in Toronto are going to skyrocket. Period. So if things stop, the city has so much housing need that things are going to double. On the other hand, if inflationary measures come in and money loses its value and the psychology crashes and everything else, the market can go down because nobody will be able to transact. If the banks don't lend money, if all these other things that can happen. So there is possibility and there is opportunity for anything to happen in the marketplace, just like any other time. In this case, it's simply unprecedented. We haven't seen a modern day pandemic happen before. The last one was in the early 1900s, where technology and airplanes and the world didn't get covered in a virus in a matter of 3 months, nor did the world stop moving like it has now. So this is really unprecedented. Nobody has ever seen it before, and we just have to figure it out. We're just going to find out. But patience and preparedness.
Do you think all home and condo sales should be on hold right now?
I feel for everybody who can hold on, should hold on. I feel the market has not had a single impact. I'm looking at the prices of transactions that are going through on an everyday basis. There's obviously very few happening because it's only the people who need to, but those prices have not gone down. The prices are holding steady throughout the pandemic. And I believe, in my personal opinion, I believe that's going to continue to be the case. I don't think it's going to impact the market as a whole. And if it does, it's going to be a very, very slight change to the negative. That's my personal take on it.
How do you think the industry will react when coronavirus lockdown is over?
I was just quoted in a Bloomberg article. I think people are going to go bananas the minute. That's literally what I said. And I'm continuing to say it. I think people are going to have a tremendous itch to get outside and to get normalcy back into their lives and to feel the way they felt before. So I do believe that once the coronavirus has been even remotely understood by people and some normalcy comes back where you can move and go out for dinner and see your friends and see your clients and do business again in a sense of actually doing business, I think people are going to go crazy. I think there's going to be a tremendous positive and a tremendous uptick in everything.